They wanted to first pick it, Blitzcrank back then, but they banned it out, so Creeper wasn't able to do that. They have got it this time around. He's excited to play it. He's wanted to play it for the afternoon, so we're going to see something interesting from him. But as a result, it has left that Lee Sin open. Svenskeren is hovering over it. See if the team lets him go with that, if they have something else in mind. It's not a bad combo to go with that Zyra.
No,
especially
not at
in the
all.
early game.
The thing about Svenskeren as well is we've seen him playing Lee Sin time and time and time again. He can absolutely stomp face, but on the same token, he can also fall a little bit behind. I believe we're about to get a camera shot of some cosplayers in the audience, and there we go. So not too shabby at all. Hello, everybody. Let's give them a round of applause for that one. But yeah, you know, Svenskeren, he can, you know, he goes big or he doesn't really go anywhere. It's a champion that you can fizzle with as well, as we've seen this tournament, where, you know, in the previous game, for example, Lee Sin just trying to commit to fights like up in the upper lane and things like that. It just doesn't always pay off. It doesn't always work out. Nevertheless, it was swapped out at the last second, so we'll see whether or not Sven wants that later on. Ezreal and Zyra bottom lane. Zyra's been the preferred support this tournament. We've seen her banned, in fact, several times. We've seen her first picked, you know, first, second picked, etc., that kind of thing, and she's been locked in. On the flip side, is this going to be a Frog and Lee?
Is this Frog picking his own Lee Sin?
Is this going to be a Frog and Lee Sin? We see Cho'Gath and
I don't want
Lee
to
Sin
get too
locked
excited
in.
until that gets locked in.
It hasn't been locked in. It has
There's
not.
still a chance, unless they're all stealing up in this round. But that Corki Blitzcrank bottom lane, something we have also seen quite often during this tournament. As you said, Zyra, one of the preferred spots, Blitzcrank, arguably the other one. He's been seen him from a lot of different teams. Only CLG have run Leona, really. But we had a rated running Blitzcrank with a mixed success with his rocket grab.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Creeper can show him how it's done, so to speak.
True. We must admit, though, the very last game that we've seen from Fnatic, N-Rated really stepped up those rocket grabs. He really he delivered in the semi-final. Group stages, not so much. It was questionable. It was like, really?
Group stages, his early game was a little bit shaky. The lane phase, he didn't land so many. However, when it mattered towards the end,
it
right
was
up
landing.
there, landing grab after grab after grab.
What I want to see now is how Snoopy's going to be playing his Cho'Gath. We've seen Cyanide running Snoopy in his semi-final, and he was doing great. Landed every single Rupture, every single Feral Scream. The thing is, Snoopy and Hotshot GG to a lesser extent were the ones that really brought it back into the scene. You know, the last really couple of months, and we'll see how he's going to run it.
Yeah, he really gave that Cho'Gath a go and bringing him back and giving it a big try. Even before the couple of changes that made him really steady, he brought it in there, really made an impact with it. The Wolves have picked up their next two picks, though. They're going that Olaf and that Maokai. I really like the look of the Maokai. Strong jungler, good clear time, really great pre-level 6 ganks. That Zyra could still be in the mid game here, in the mid lane here. It's not necessarily a support. We are waiting to decide on that one. And even if she is, that makes it really, really great for Maokai to gank that middle lane. It does mean we're not going to see Svenskeren's Lee Sin, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
that is
if
true.
Maokai is ganking that mid lane with the double snare coming from Zyra and from Maokai, we are going to see a lot of decent damage output. The crowd does a cheer as Creeper hovers over Lee Sin, and there's it gets locked in, so we are definitely seeing Frog and
So
Lee Sin.
it does look like it's going to be Frog and Lee Sin in the middle. It's going to be Wicked Rumble up top, the Blitz Corki bottom lane, and of course Cho'Gath in the jungle. There is one champion left to be locked in. Now the question is, would you put a Zyra against a Lee Sin, or would you pick another champion? Would you pick somebody that could play against a Lee Sin and, you know, step away from this traditional AP mid-meta, which is effectively exactly what Froggen has just done?
And we don't entirely know what he's up against yet. If he does go against Zyra with that, it's going to come off very bad for Zyra. So it is going to prompt something a little bit more safe, a little bit more tanky from the Wolves. Currently hovering over that Diana. It's not quite selected yet. They are both melee champions. She's still going to lose in the first 3-4 levels against Lee Sin, but there's not many people that can win that fight. So she's going to have to be a little bit careful. But as that continues, she's going to have that shield. She's going to have the mobility to be able to leap in and cause some kind of issues with Froggen. Has been locked out. It is going to now swap things around. We'll see who gets which champions. I suspect those two are going to switch in a minute. There it is. Godbro is what I remember, top lane, and a pretty good one himself. I remember casting him at I-45, I believe it was, a couple of months back, when he was on the WinFact squad and when they went on to win that tournament.
Well, there we go. Let's see if whether or not they can pull that off this time. 25 seconds left on the clock. We've got both squads locked in, set up, and ready to go. This is the Dreamhack Winter League of Legends Championships. We've got to give a major shout out to the sponsors. XMG and SteelSeries, they put a lot of money up for grabs. They put a lot of hardware up for grabs. I think there was something like 40 laptops in total for this, those amazing XMG 17 inches.
Man, that was plus, obviously, there's enough for everyone. There's like 8 teams worth of laptops, plus some spares and they worked a dream. We haven't had any kind of technical issues with the hardware as it is. So XMG, kudos to them.
Yeah, you guys definitely got to check it out. You've been seeing the adverts leading up to each of these games, and the entire tournament has been run on those laptops. So 15 seconds left on the clock before we jump into this matchup. We've, of course, got the favorites, the crowd favorites, as it were, as well, and the defending champions, Counterlogic Gaming.EU. We have a full crowd here in the Dream Arena. And do you think we should ask them who their favorites are, Panky?
I think now that the delay's cut in, we're going to get to our load skin. They're going to see the skins. They're going to be able to decide who's going to win this skin war. And yeah, I think we should put it to the crowd. If you guys are in here and you're rooting for the underdogs, if you're here for Copenhagen Wolves, give us a cheer.
And
there's a couple of them.
That's not bad. That's not bad. And if you guys are here and you're rooting for Counterlogic Gaming.EU, give us a cheer.
Not sure there's many more, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm a little bit deafened or not, but I think that was the Copenhagen Wolves, right? No. So, with the loading screen is up, we're about to jump into this game. We don't have the loading screen up on screen just yet. We will have it in just a second. Gentleman Cho'Gath once again. I think Snoopy has run his Gentleman Cho'Gath every single time.
It's a pretty good skin.
As a descendant of the British Isles, I suppose he's trying to be a good sir, as it were.
Now, here's the thing. Last time we saw Fnatic running that Blitzcrank, they went for a very early aggressive invade. They did it for majority of their games. What we see with the CLG, they tend to be a bit more defensive in their level 1, but they have got that Lee Sin on Frog in here, as well as the knock-up now from Snoopy, so they've got a lot of level 1 early damage. They've got a good strong invade. If Creepo can land a grab, there's not much the Wolves can do about it, and they have to get Svenska and that blue buff, otherwise he's going to be in serious trouble in their jungle. Yeah,
Maokai needs that blue buff early on. He needs it to get the farm. We do have a momentary pause as the players are just getting themselves set up and double-checking audio settings, so we'll see exactly how quickly that comes back. It actually has already been unpaused, so it was just a minor software setting. I would like to see an invade from CLG. They've got a team that can do very well at it. A rocket grab, a rupture, it's very disruptive, it's a lot of damage, especially if Corki gets a phosphorus bomb done. You know, it's good AoE damage, and it's good, you know, burst damage.
And it's vision, which is a big thing in level 1 fights. Putting vision across all the targets it hits will allow Creepo to land a follow-up grab, or allow them to just check where these low health targets are going, allow them to follow around the jungle just for a little bit of knowledge and prep. CLG, we did seem to a couple of late invades in the earlier fights, not waiting around quite so long this time, however. They've already been spotted by the Wolves junglers using the saplings. CLG making a charge straight on in to plant their very deep ward, in fact, at that Wraith camp.
And the crowd giving a good cheer as this game is underway. CLG moving forward, making sure they've got, trying to put some vision down, and you can see they've got mimicked wards. Creepo sneaking around the side. I think you've got to be a little bit careful of now. Zyra's down on the bottom. There comes a little sapling. Creepo once again stepping forward. Not trying to just find someone, trying to see whether or not he's going to throw that rocket grab out or not. But there are two very early wards down from the Wolves. One near the Wraith camp and one at the sort of interlinking grass point. So you're going to see exactly what's happening. In fact, it was just a sapling. So a little bit of vision now that has now been denied. But knowing when Maokai is going to be going for that red buff, knowing when he's going to be moving into his jungle, it's going to play into their favor. And it looks like CLG are going to be setting up for a delayed invade. Look at them in the middle lane right here. Sneaking there, waiting. The blue buff is about to spawn in about 10 or so seconds. And here they come, gently stepping forward. They may just try to steal the blue buff away, or they may try to go for a kill. We'll have to see how this one plays out. Blue buff is going to spawn in a couple of seconds. Diana, if she steps out of this bush, it's going to be first blood. There comes Vision. Creepo turns his attention, lands a rocket grab. Exhaust goes down. Rupture knocks him up in the air. It's going to be first blood. CLG.EU pick that one up. Now they've turned their attention over to the blue buff. Can they do anything more with this? Creepo's going to be chasing. 6 seconds left on rocket grab. 5, 4. They're going to decide not to chase. The rupture does actually land in the background. Snoopy's going to be able to smite that away, pick up the blue buff, and get out of there safely. Yellow Pete's going to be happy with that one.
Yeah, Pete has taken a little bit too much damage. He just has to use a couple of health potions there, tanking that blue buff for the duration, but still went in, got it onto Snoopy. Now Maokai is going to be a little bit stunted. He has no mana whatsoever. He's still got to get through the Wraith camp before he's going to hit level 2. Wouldn't surprise me if he has to base at some point during this. I mean, he's going to have that return damage from the Masteries. He's going to be able to auto-attack these through, but it's going to be very, very slow. And with Lee Sin already pushing up this mid lane, Froggen could come over into that Wraith camp not so far from the future. Svenskeren actually going to try and start red buff, as we do see in the bottom lane. A very low health warning coming out from the test. Creepo flashing forward for the damage, forces the summoner heal out. So summon a spell for a summoner spell, but immediately CLG are on the aggression. And there it is. Froggen is in the enemy jungle, trying to make Svenskeren leave that red buff. Does successfully do such a thing. And Snoopy is actually going to pull this around, bring it to the backside after a while. Where are you going? Red buff, there you go. Takes a while to walk around out of vision. Snoopy should be able to steal this away as well. And Maokai, it's going to be useless now for like the next.
Down in the bottom lane, the test gets caught by the rocket grab, does manage to get away with the use of flash. Arcane Shift was on cooldown, but Crepo, he's landed so many of his grabs thus far. Snoopy's about to pick up this red buff. He does grab it once again with the aid of Smite. Now he's turned his attention over to Svenskeren. Red buff and blue buff. Rupture goes down. That one is a little over ambitious, but nevertheless, gets away without giving up any more kills, and the second buff stolen. Snoopy currently, blue and red buff, neither of which belong to his team.
Yeah, and as I say, Svenskeren not having any of those buffs and having next to no jungle is going to be so far behind for ages. It's going to really, really hurt the Wolves in their lineup, especially with how strong Froggen's going to be in these early levels. But Bjergsen's not going to get any kind of help in that situation. So Creepo is actually roaming around a little bit, heading up towards that mid lane, just planting some wards for his team and keeping Froggen safe. But ultimately, the Wolves are a little bit worried down in this bottom lane, so he can allow Pete to go a little bit solo for a while, as Froggen does go in onto Bjergsen. Doesn't do too much damage to him thanks to that Chaos Cascade shield though.
Yeah, the shield is really, really nice. It's immediately going to block a chunk of damage. Take a look at it right now. 60 odd damage right now. Rupture goes down. That is going to land. They're going to apply the red buff. Now Feral Scream, the silence is out. Red buff ticking away, and Froggen and Snoopy just going to be backing off. It was a very high health Diana. She was sitting max HP, and there's no items or no real bursty abilities just yet from them. They really need to get a few more levels and a little bit more statistics before they can turn that one around. Froggen throws out that Sonic Wave into the Wraith camp, trying to see if he can steal away that big Wraith, but it wasn't there to be stolen, and they are forced backwards. Crepo grabs the tank creep, the siege creep as it were. He doesn't manage to pull anything away, but look how low Svenskeren was in his jungle, down to 75 HP. Currently sitting on level 3. On the flip side, Cho'Gath is about to hit level 4. He's just trying to take his own blue buff for the first time, as the stolen blue buff is wearing a wolf.
He also still has his own red buff to take too, so okay, it looked like they were level at that point, but Snoopy still has so much jungle left to take. And once he takes that, they're going to hang around for the next 2 minutes, and that's when the enemy blue buff is going to spawn again. So CLG could make another play for that, at which point Svenskeren is still going to be about level 3. He's got no jungle left to get anything higher than that. So we'll see exactly how CLG play. At the moment, they're only up by about 700-800 gold, but it's going to keep stretching the way things go. And if we actually look across CS, the mid lane, fairly even at the moment. Bottom lane, quite level 2. Top is actually in favor of Godbro at the moment. Olaf beating out that Rumble. Wicked getting beaten by Godbro. We'll see how long that stays for.
This is also something we've seen earlier when Wicked was playing Rumble. He lost the early game, the first few levels, until about level 8 or level 9. And once he picked up his Sorcerer's Shoes, and I believe Haunting Guys, all of a sudden the lane turned into his favor. He started picking up that CS, those Electro Harpoons started hitting really, really hard, and he was able to start turning the lane in his favor, picking up that CS, and immediately putting pressure down onto his lane opponent. So we'll see whether or not that is the case this time around, but for now at least, as you pointed out, he is a little bit behind. We see Snoopy, he does not have that Oracle Elixir just yet, but on his first recall, level 5, and he does have a Heart of Gold. On the other side, Froggen picking up double Doran's Blades, and he's going to return to lane to face off against Diana, who's purchased Ninja Tabi as her first item. That tells you a lot about what Bjergsen's going to be expecting in this mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Okay, Froggen's got a lot of damage from his abilities, but the majority of that leasing damage is just, especially in these early levels, is going to be where he's auto-attacking, where he's following it down lane, where he lands that Tempest, lands the Cripple, lands the Slow, and just follows alongside it auto-attacking. So reducing the auto-attack damage is going to be a lot, but Snoopy coming in down towards the bottom lane, gets the knock-up onto winner, gets the silence. First kill goes down to Yellow Pete, as we do get the passive firing out. Does actually catch Pete, but unfortunately Wolves didn't have the test in range to execute him and finish off that last little bit of health. Another successful gank for Snoopy, and it is about the 7-minute 15 mark. So now there's no Zyra, there's no support in play as this blue buff is about to respawn.
Yeah, exactly. Once that comes back up, you can see there's a CLG ping onto Svenskeren. He's busy checking, he's waiting for this thing to respawn, but with Froggen with red buff and Snoopy with his own blue buff, it's going to be very, very difficult for Sven to hold on to this one. The test is coming in to assist shortly. Froggen applying some damage onto Bjergsen, but he's immediately going to put that Pale Cascade down, and that's going to heal. Now, we've seen a number of steals throughout the day. Froggen actually landing them with Lux's Final Spark laser. We've seen a couple of Smite steals as they sneak up. While he's still waiting, down to about half health, Snoopy's going to start moving up. He's a little bit low. I don't know if he's going to be willing to flash over this. Going to get in range. Steals it! Smites it! Gets in range.
Flash smite still
just
from
picks
Snoopy.
that one up.
And now they're waiting. They still smell Xin'Zhao about. Froggen's here with him. He's at the Wolf camp. Big Wolf is down. Froggen comes around. He's got the red buff. He activates his ult. He activates the Q, but Xin'Zhao flashes away just in time. The red buff slows there. The Ignite's still ticking. He dashes forward. One more auto attack. Xin'Zhao falls before he can get the heal off.
Yeah, really, really well played. The amount of burst there was just so high. XL Winter's got to be so careful. Gets a little bit of vision from that little sprout. Froggen actually walks around it. He leaves it in that bush. Now we're going to see Krepo sneaking up. Could this be a very early dragon? 4 members of CLG are here, ready and waiting. But the burst from Froggen was extremely high on that. I want to take a look at his rune page in just a second and see if he's actually running armor penetration 6 and 10, so nothing outside of the ordinary. And it's definitely working out well for him thus far.
And Lee Sin feels that really strong early against Xin'Zhao. Not exactly high on the armor at the moment. He's got 44, and I'm pretty sure Diana. Yeah, Diana's 55. She's running more armor because, of course, there's Ninja Tabi. And she knows she's coming up against Froggen, so she's going to build a little bit extra. And there he is, flying straight in onto Bergson again, starting to slowly whittle down that health bar. Back up again in the top lane, though. Godbro Wicked's been quite quiet, but there it is. As you say, Wicked has started to take the lead in CS now. Started to get that penetration. You can start spamming out those abilities and going through the magic resist that Godbro has. And as a result, we started to bully him off the creep waves.
Yeah, the very second that Wicked was able to pick up those Sorcerer Shoes the previous time we've seen him playing Rumble, it ended up leading to him winning the lane. Now we do see Froggen, he walks right over a ward. So we do see that Olaf immediately knows that Xin'Zhao is very low. He needs to be careful because that Resonating Strike combination from Lee Sin can absolutely decimate him. This is the vision of Froggen. He doesn't know Maokai is here, and that Maokai is low. So we're going to keep this back up on full Spectator vision. And Sven, he just starts to step backwards, doesn't realize just how low he is, or potentially what sort of situation could get into. A good equalizer Sonic Wave combo, that would be enough to kill him, but as he decides to come into the tri-bush, Froggen has decided to back off. He's returning to his lane, as there are no more creeps there to hold the enemy's creeps back. We get a momentary speed buff on them, and he's just going to pick one up with a Sonic Wave and then start farming out this lane.
So, comfortable 3-0 start in the first 10 minutes for CLG. They're up by just over 2,000 gold. Keep his pressure on. Creeper down in the bottom lane. Can't land a grab because those plants are in the way. Nice snare from XL Winter, but now Test has to be very careful. The silence goes out. Creeper lands the grab in the space of the silence. The arcane shift in the heal does get Test to safety, but now that summoner's on cooldown, and so is the arcane shift. He's going to have to be very careful for at least the next 10 seconds while that's there. Creeper is still getting quite aggressive. Winter trying to return some damage onto Pete, try and even up these odds. There's a lot of health missing on the Test, and he's got to be very careful as Creeper comes forward again. There is a ward in this bush for Wolves, so they can see that he's edging forward, but this is still Creepo. We've seen him pull some flash grabs already in this tournament. They have to be very wary.
Yeah, extremely great play there from Krepo, getting in range for his static field to just silence the enemy, silence Ezreal so he can't arcane shift, he can't get away to safety, and then landing a guaranteed point-blank rocket grab. It was really good understanding, and just knowing this is the range, this is the max that I can get on my ultimate, and apply that silence and then carry on with it. You see Snoopy has just picked up an Oracle's Elixir, so he'll be drinking that potion very shortly and start clearing out these wards. That signals to me that CLG are going to start paying attention to the dragon now. As soon as they can clear out the vision, they're probably going to try and take it down. And if you consider with Cho'Gath, with Lee Sin, and with Corki, that dragon is going to go down very quickly.
Yeah, and on top of that, as we said, they've had this early game lead. He's picked up an extra couple of assists over Maokai. Maokai's had no jungle to play with. He can afford to spend 400 gold on Oracles without falling too much further behind. Froggen has been taking the red buff while this has all been going on. He just took it again, so Snoopy's not had that to play with, but after getting 2 blue buffs away from the enemy team and having 4 buffs right at the start of the game, he can afford to do just that. Snoopy now level 7 with his Oracles, is going to start roaming around towards the top side of the map, and of course, building up those feast stacks. He's up to 3 so far. He's now in this tri-bush, and Xin'Zhao is making a way straight across towards him. Sapling, however, will check it beforehand. Snoopy does have to back away and leave, and Godbro and Wicked still go untouched.
Well, Xin'Zhao is just about to get level 6. On the flip side, his counterpart is halfway through level, towards level 8. It's a huge difference between these two champions right now. And you know what? That feast, if you combine the burst with the amount of damage that can come down from the Sonic Wave, the Resonating Strike, that execution type ability, it's really high. Merc trades have been picked up there by Lee Sin in the middle, Froggen, and he's picked up a pickaxe as his first item. So I'd like to see where this pickaxe is going to go. There's a number of options available to him. but I want to see exactly how Froggen's going to build it. Last Whisper,
Infinity probably going to be straight Last Whisper, to be honest. Just going to go deep into Armor Pen. I liked how Winter played that in the bottom lane, by the way. Creepo planted down a pink ward. They wanted to take away this little ward. They bullied him back away from the creeps. They had a big wave in the Wolves pushing onto the turret. They pushed him back, planted his own pink ward, killed Creepos. So that's completely removed all control that CLG wanted to have of that push. But Snoopy does come down, lands a knockup, flash grab. Actually, he gets test after the Arcane Shift, and the Stranglethorns aren't going to be enough. Another kill for Snoopy.
Yeah, really, really great play there. The Arcane Shift, even at max range, all it did is put Ezreal further away. Look at Froggen diving all the way forward. Sonic, the resonating strike into the Iron Will onto his teammate. Now they're going to take down the Dragon. 13.5 minutes. It is going to be back at around about the 19.5 minute point. CLG increased their gold lead now to 3,500 gold. And the top lane is now where I want to start watching. Froggen commits to a battle on Bjergsen. Going to carry on trading back and forth, low on energy, so he can't really use too many more of his abilities just yet. But the top lane, 10 CS in the lead for Wicked right now. And I want to see how he plays, if he's going to try bullying Olaf a little bit more or not. Svenskeren level 6 against the level 11 Wicked. They need to be super, super careful. Scrappy challenge going to flash over the wall. It brings Svenskeren with him. He's going to be forced to flash in the background. Now take a look at Bjergsen. He's committed to this fight. Does have flash available to get away though. He's going to wait. Wicked comes back in and actually does flash over the wall. Very afraid of Froggen coming from the middle lane. And that twisted advance pulling Svenskeren a little further than he was hoping.
Wicked gets gang. Forces the enemy to use up 2 flashes. Bjergsen actually flashing in onto Svenskeren. Sorry, Froggen flashing in onto Svenskeren. Didn't expect Bjergsen to still be recalling in that bush, however. Misses the next Q, but Creepo's now here. He's going to try and land that grab. Does get dodged at the last second. Svenskeren, though, still very low. Froggen's going to get his Q back up in just a second. It is up now. Misses it again. Lands the E, but doesn't need a Q to activate his ultimate. Executes Svenskeren. Takes him down under that top turret, and now he's going to go in and take away this red buff.
And now he's picked up their blue buff as well. As if it wasn't hard enough in the middle lane for Bjergsen, he's now being forced to fight against a blue buff and red buff Froggen. Take a look at the items on Diana at the moment. A chain vest as the first item. Now that's potentially going to work into a Zhonya's Hourglass, which fits Diana perfectly well. But there's no ability power. There's nothing there to add to the burst or to add to the damage and help her sustain in that lane. Yellow Pete solo on the bottom lane still has a 10 CS advantage over the Tess and Winner. And keep in mind, he's been alone for a little bit of time in that bottom lane.
He has, he's been doing it very, very well. Corki is a pretty good champion to 2v1 on this, to be honest. Froggen is going in on the top lane onto Godbro, but he does catch the undertow, and now Svenskeren's come back in. Ragnarok has been pushed by Godbro. Froggen is taken very, very low. The Ignite is ticking. We need one more Reckless Squid, and that'll be enough. But there comes the Equalizer from Rumble. Feast goes down to Svenskeren. He's going to fall before he gets back to the turret. Diana comes in, however, does pick up the kill onto Froggen. Snoopy and Wicked now have to back away. Snoopy cannot lose his Oracles. The Moonfall comes in, pulls him back onto Bjergsen. Now Godbro's going to pop his Ghost and keep chasing, but he's got no Ragnarok here. They're going to switch onto Wicked. Here comes the damage. Luna Rush in after the Crescent Strike. Pale Cascade doing a lot of damage. One more Crescent Strike will pick up the kill for Bjergsen.
Copenhagen Wolves put themselves on the board, and they do it in dramatic fashion, picking up a kill onto Froggen and a kill onto Wicked, exactly as predicted. After all that farm and the gold that Froggen has picked up, his first item is going to be that Last Whisper, get that armor penetration and just really make sure he can drive home all of that physical attack damage that he's going to be putting down. But with the amount of armor that Bjergsen's building, it's going to at least help him survive a little bit more.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Okay, you're going to rush armor, then I'll rush armor pen. Simple as that. That's all I need to do. And we'll see how it works out for him when he gets back into lane. They start facing off 1v1 again. But as the turrets start to fall, we're going to start seeing more and more roaming. We've already seen Creepo leaving this bottom lane quite a bit. And now the top lane is down. Wicked might just do the same, or he's just going to AFK push it, and Goldbro will be the one roaming around. So
one of the big things as well, you know, CLG were about 3,500 gold ahead of their opponents. Now it's only 2,000. It's a small number or a small difference, but of course picking up that turret is going to give the Wolves some global gold. It's going to help them, pull them back into this matchup. And at the moment, Svenskeren is a long way behind. 20 creeps, and look at it, 031, 103 for Snoopy. It's a huge item difference. Merc Treads and a Negatron Cloak. So Snoopy definitely probably going to, or most likely going to rush something like an Abyssal Scepter along those lines, and it's just going to benefit him so much. Drop the magic resistance. Corki deals magic damage. Blitzcrank deals magic damage. Wicked deals a lot of magic damage. And of course, having Cho in and amongst the thick of it, reducing all of their MR, is just going to play into their team's favor. We see Froggen going brave, goes into 1 versus 3. Holds up his Q. I want to see Bjergsen throws out that Crescent Sweep or Crescent Strike of his. applies a little bit of damage, but unfortunately 3 versus 2. CLG will be able to defend that middle tower as easily as possible. Flash into Rocket Grab, deleted! Yellow Pete manages to land a phosphorus bomb as well as his missile barrage and easily picks up a kill. But let's see what the Wolves have to say about this. We see so many members of them coming into this bottom lane. Sven Skjern is going to be looking for one, but here's Snoopy as well. This is a 4 versus 3 engagement. They jump onto Yellow Pete. Immediately Krepo's removed. Take a look at the Vengeful Maelstrom reducing all of the damage in this middle lane. It's not going to be enough. Another kill for the Wolves. They've brought themselves back into this just as you start thinking, what can they do? How do they keep themselves alive? They put together a sequence of kills, put 4 on the board without reply, and it was really well played.
I'm still trying to figure out what Krepo just did. Somewhere in there was a flash and an ultimate and a grab, and I'm going to have to watch over again later on, but it was beautiful, whatever it was. So I'll have to ask him a little bit more about it later. Froggen is coming around towards this blue buff now again with Snoopy. Snoopy just feasted their own blue, so he's got that for plenty of time. Yeah, but we've got Winter in here and Bjergsen. They want to try and steal this way. Froggen's activated, and a great Lunar Rush from Bjergsen manages to keep that blue buff on their side, and that's the first blue buff they've actually got from their own jungle. Yeah,
19 minutes into the game, that is the very first buff that they have taken. As you pointed out, it's been stolen away time and time again. Their red buffs, I think they've only managed to get one of their own, if that. On the flip side, Bjergsen, you know, he's built a very defensive start in terms of his items. Now he's spent some of that gold, he's got that Haunting Guys, and now a needlessly large rod. He's getting some additional ability power to back up that armor, which was helping him survive in the mid lane. The dragon will be respawning very soon, and you can see that was a rocket grab onto Sven, pulled him from the middle lane. He's been silenced from Blitz, silenced from Cho. They're going to carry on fighting. Vengeful Maelstrom goes down. But with the enemy jungler down, you have to think that this is going to be the second dragon going to CLG. The shining light for the Wolves right now is that Diana. Diana has been doing very well, has been able to string together a number of kills. True Shot Barrage comes down very close to stealing. You know what, if Diana can keep dealing damage and with the Zhonya's Hourglass stay alive for a while, may be able to chain some things together.
You gotta feel bad for Bjergsen, for Stensko in the moment. CLG have done nothing but bully the guy. They've destroyed his jungle in the early levels. They've constantly kept the pressure up, not giving him any of his own buffs. They keep picking on him. People keep finding him in places and grabbing him and putting him out of position. They keep focusing him down in tournaments, in ganks and things around the different lanes. Their whole strategy at the moment just seems to be around shutting down Maokai.
And you know what? It's working, because if you consider Maokai, you know, if he does get up a blue buff and starts to clear out his jungle and things like that, it's a very strong ganking champion. That Twisted Advance, it's a guaranteed route. There's nothing you can do about it. It will catch you. You can even flash away and he'll still fly through the ground as a route and stick you to the ground. You combine that with an Olaf, a Diana, even an Ezreal, and you've got a guaranteed kill. So CLG played this very smart, shutting down their enemy jungle, stealing away their buffs, and it just increases that gap. You know, from 3 minutes ago there was a 2,000 gold lead. Now with the towers and some of the kills, etc., it's now a 4,000 gold lead, and CLG are just a little bit ahead. If Wolves can put together another string of kills like we've seen they can do, they can bring themselves back into this matchup.
Yeah, 8-4 now in favor of CLG. We do have 4,000 gold lead on them. There is still a slight turret advantage for the Wolves, but that's going to quickly change back the other way. Froggen is now down here on the bottom lane, helping Pete clear off this bottom turret. So that is now 2 turrets to 2 for both squads. The rest of the Wolves are trying to defend this, trying to push, onto this mid lane. Just 3 members of CLG defending at the moment. The equalizer coming out from Wicked. Bit of a last-ditch effort, but again, Svensko taking a lot of damage. Flash, feast, and the kill goes to Wicked. Need any more proof? Svensko's getting picked up.
Yeah, every single time, but on the flip side as well, he did get caught by that rupture. You know, he was standing on top of it, got knocked up into the air, and because he's so far behind, the only item that he had to his name at the time was a Heart of Gold and a Ruby Crystal, and it's not enough ability power. There's no defensive stats. There's nothing he can do to keep himself alive from that sort of damage. Rocket Grab does land onto Bjergsen, but there's no other backup. Finally, Yellow Pete's in there. Krepo may have bitten off more than he can chew. Strangle Thorns goes down. It's going to knock Snoopy up in the air, but Yellow Pete is safe from it. Krepo may have been a little bit overconfident there, pulling. With only Yellow Pete arriving a little bit late and Snoopy not having Feast available, he ends up giving away his own life, but the Wolves will be happy about that. They pick up another kill, another chunk of change, chunk of gold in their back pockets. It's going to allow them to complete a little bit more items. Warmogs on Olaf, Trinity Force on Ezreal, and the Zhonya's Hourglass on Diana. So they've now just crested in terms of power. They're no longer building, they've hit a power position, and they need to take advantage of it.
Yep, and as we've seen so far in every game from CLG, they start out, they gain a small advantage. In this case, it was by completely shutting down the enemy jungle, which is quite a big advantage in all fairness. But from that, they've just slowly snowballed it, just taking a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then they've added more gold onto it, and then a little bit more on top of that, and then they start taking a dragon, and then they grab an oracles, and then they clear the wards, and they take the map control, and then they take another dragon. And okay, Wolves have done a good job of trying to get these 3-4-man ganks in and trying to displace CLG, but they couldn't really grab any other objectives from it. They couldn't really gain any map control from that. It hasn't quite worked for them. We do see Xin'Zhao forced to flash over the wall as Froggen and Kripo close onto him from one each side. But still got to wait and see something from Wolves. They're down by less than 5,000 gold at the moment. In fact, it's exactly 5,000 gold. But it's not too far. It's not an immovable gap between them. They do have Olaf, who can become very, very strong later on. They do have Ezreal, who can be pretty strong. And Froggen, of course, he's going to fall off at some point. He's not exactly a late game carry. So if they can keep this going, maybe the Wolves will be able to turn this around a little bit later on.
Take a look at the build there from Wicked. We haven't touched on it a little bit. He did the same that he's done previously. Full AP, Sorcerer Shoes, Haunting Guys, Rabadon's Death Cap. He is the AP player for this matchup. They've decided to jump onto him. Svenskaren's very, very brave. True Shot Barrage comes down. He gets feasted once again. Take a look at the Wild Grooves. Once again, only knocks up Snoopy. Wicked has gone down in this engagement. Bjergsen's going to need to pop that Zhonya's Hourglass. A beautiful rocket grab from Krepo. Pulls him back into tower range, but they're going to get away very, very low. Froggen's about to join this party, and if he can land a Sonic Wave, it's going to be able to get a kill. XL Winner is going to sacrifice himself for the good of the team. Is going to die. Diana jumps back in, picks up a kill into Yellow Pete before going down herself. Froggen's going to think about diving back in. Can he get Ezreal before he gets away? No. An arcane shift. Svenskaren picks up the kill. That was a great fight for the Wolves. They hold themselves 5,000 gold behind. They pick up an extra kill. That was a 2-for-3 exchange. But when you are behind, when you have no items and no gold, if you trade even evenly, you're going to get yourself closer and closer and closer. Oh, beautiful rocket crab onto Neogo, bro. He's going to get knocked up. Rupture, that was a feast, I believe, once again. Going to carry on chasing. Olaf has got so much HP that Warmogs is doing work. Plus 1,100 HP, and even with a feast and a tower shot, Olaf manages to just walk away and say, no worries, bro. I got that one.
Now, here's a little bit of a worrying thing. Svenskaren, he got a kill in that fight. He's worth gold again. CLG were focusing him down before. He was only worth about 130 gold. Now, he's back up to that 300 count. If CLG keep killing him like they were before, actually going to start making an impact once more onto this gold count. We'll see whether they do, whether it really makes an impact. But on top of that, 5 kills now on Diana. She's very, very strong. She has that on his complete for a while. She's carrying another 1,100 gold. We saw there how she was activated, that Q got activated on her by Lee Sin. She knew Froggen was coming. So, okay, I'm just going to throw a Crescent Strike, go in on the LOP. And the burst damage she put down destroyed him before Froggen could actually do anything about it and activate the Q to finish her off. So he's got to be very careful to avoid those Crescent Strikes, otherwise it's just going to happen again. And if it happens at the start of a fight next time around, CLG are not going to have that AD damage.
And Wicked needs to be very, very careful. You know, we're just talking about his build as the game was, as the fight was taking place. He's gone full AP. He does now have a Negatron Cloak, which will most likely become an Abyssal. But the point is he gets blown up extremely quickly. Dragon get dropped in less than 3 seconds. A defensive Rupture there from Snoopy to just ensure nobody pushes back. But look at the lanes. They're all pushing in favor of the Wolves right now, so they may be able to get this tower. Effectively, CLG gave up the tower for the Dragon. They knew that was the case, and you can see them positioning themselves to defend the inner tower if the Wolves decided to chase, but they did not. So all 3 outer towers are down for the Wolves. They're again only 4,500, 5,000 gold behind. They're keeping themselves at that point. It is still growing very slowly. You know, at 10 minutes it was 1,000 gold. At 20 minutes it was 3,000 gold. And approaching the 30-minute mark, it's now 5,000. So the Wolves need to stop the rot. They cannot keep giving up these advantages and giving up the gold that they're currently doing. If they can do that, or if they can stall it as it is now, they're going to put themselves in a very good position later on, because Lee Sin is going to start to fall off. Rumble, while he does very good damage, it's not the same level of insta-kill burst that a Diana can offer, you know?
Svenskaren now has an Oracles, but he's stuck here defending this mid lane, doing nothing with it. He needs to start roaming around, taking these wards out, taking the vision away from CLG, but right now he doesn't feel safe enough. That's an issue, considering all of the outer turrets are down for CLG. Wolves should have the map control. Wolves should be the guys roaming around at the moment, knowing where everyone is, with all the wards placed deep into the CLG jungle, knowing exactly when and where they're coming. Right now, they have no idea, and as a result, they're stuck back behind their own turrets. Still plenty of wards up for CLG. Wolves can't make any play because they don't know where CLG are hiding, and they know with Creeper, of course, with that Blitzcrank, they could just be hiding behind one bush, grab someone out of position, blow them up, give away a free Baron. So they don't want to risk it.
Oh, Rocket Grab does land into Svenskeren, and he gets silenced, knocked up under. Take a look at a beautiful moonfall from Bjergsen. Can he pick up the kill onto Kripo? No, Kripo manages to get away. Zhonya's hourglass has been popped. He manages to get away just in the background. The equalizer from Wicked picks up a kill onto Maokai, and that is huge because that means that the Oracle's elixir is down. Undertow manages to land. Yellow Peach just going to Valkyrie to safety. There's no ward though. Picks up another Undertow. Carries on chasing. It will be available in just a second. Lands a third Undertow in a row. Strangleroot, Grasping Roots is going to hold Wicked in place. Look at how much his HP is being melted once the test jumps onto him. Wicked drops again. Rocket Grab through them. Grabs the test, pulls him back. One more auto attack. Secures a second kill for him. Now XL Winner is trying to fight Snoopy and Yellow Pete, but it's not going to play out because Yellow Pete gets the double. He's going to try chase Nigard, bro, but not going to be able to. 4 for 3. A couple of kills being picked up, but they've lost Oracle's elixir. Svenskeren needed that pink eye. He needed to be able to clear those wards, and that's a big, big loss for somebody who's already this far behind.
Creepo. Creepo.
Yeah.
I thought he'd recalled, and suddenly, hang on, there's a Blitzcrank, and there's a grab, and the test is dead, and he's under turret. It's like he threaded it through 3 of his own players. It came on the other side and grabbed the perfect target as he's charging up the mid lane. Even the test wasn't ready for it. You saw where the arcane shift came. He saw that grab late. He tried to shift sideways into the gap in between those 2 entrances to the jungle. But by that point, he was already under the turret. Yeah, it got him a little bit out of the range, but Snoopy was still there. It was still too late. He fell down. It's crazy. I don't know where Creepo's coming from. I don't know how he's pulling this off, but it's really carrying CLG through. That fight, which would have gone in Wolves' favour, suddenly turned it around. Yeah, really, really great Rocket Grab. And also, of all the targets, of everything he could hit, everybody he could hit the most valuable target. Once the test actually joined that fight, he was able to easily kill Wicked because he's built some magic resistance. But, you know, the auto attack damage of that Trinity Force, Pickaxe, and the BF Sword. Oh, Diana's going to be so careful here. Doesn't know that there's a ward if Kripo lands another Rocket Grab. But wisely, this time around, decides not to. Wicked and Yellow Pete are nearby, but they don't want to risk it just yet. They need some tankiness, they need Cho, and they need Lee to get in here. Sin, of course, is rocking the Frozen Mallet, as well as the Last Whisper, so he had a good chunk of HP and a very good chunk of armor penetration. And 2 Abyssal Scepters. I think Yellow Pete's working towards his Guardian Angel. He does have that Chain Vest collected, so that wouldn't surprise me. And of course, you know, Diana's going to be focusing, going to be trying to jump onto him, either with the help of Maokai or even just solo, and then trying to get out of there once the Zhonya's Hourglass has been popped. But take a look at the farm on our top laners. Yeah, Wicked has just been consistently farming and farming and farming. He's a long way ahead because of it. You also got to look at the fact that Snoopy is currently flawless. He has not died all game yet. I mean, it's Cho'Gath, he's huge. It's hard for him to die. He's got to try to get it done, but still quite a feat considering how low he has dropped in the last couple of fights. So managing to pull that off and consistently stay alive on about 100, 200 health is well played and knowing his champion quite well. Yellow Pete then, with his double buff, has got it for, how much longer have you got it for, Pete? He's got it for about a minute, a little bit longer on the blue buff. He's going to start spamming those abilities that can help him with his rockets, of course. As the Wolves making their way across towards this blue, they are going to start taking that, trying to pick it up for Diana. Does force Bjergsen out of position slightly, but he gets it. He's now going to start making his way back across towards this Baron where the rest of Wolves are waiting. That grab from Guru not quite landing though. Does force Godbro to use his Ragnarok as he comes out the far side. Froggen is actually going to follow him over the wall. Immediately regrets it and goes back to creeps in mid, but both teams are now grouped up on top of each other. But Godbro, without ultimate, is going to have a real issue sticking to Yellow Pete now. Yeah, he's going to be very, very difficult, especially with the amount of CC that is actually there. The slows, the snares, the knockups. So we'll see whether or not they're going to decide to pick this engagement or just wait for Olaf's Ragnarok to become available again. Very good ward coverage around the Baron buff for CLG, so they know exactly what's going on there. And it's again just this waiting game, just waiting for people to step up and misstep. At the same time though, Wicked is up in the top lane, counter pushing that, so he's not available, and CLG will most likely not pick a fight until he's at least within equalizer range, as he's just about to reach. Yeah, he's making his way back across, and Wolves know that CLG are on the aggressive, so they're starting to come forward. Creepo does get snared up by Winner. It's going to stop him getting any kind of grab range. Nice to be done on that front. Pete spamming out rockets the whole way he's going. That blue bar has worn off for him, but of course Bjergsen's got his fresh. Dragon has respawned here at the moment, but neither team can really go for it because they know he's going to open up the Baron for their opposition. Creepo and Snoopy around one side. Fezco actually going to initiate in onto Yellow Pete. They did catch him off to one side. He's down very low. There's the Stranglethorns coming in, going to knock a lot of people up. But Tess is now in a horrible position. Does have to arcane shift away. He's got that Q on him from Froggen already. Froggen is going to activate, come flying across the backside. There's no response from the Wolves, so they're on full retreat. Bjergsen, Svenskeren very low. They do need to try and dodge around this next grab that's going to come out from Creepo. Hiding in amongst the minions. Where's that grab? Creeper does get slowed up by the test though and has to back away. Still no casualties on either side, but Svenskeren has to go and heal before he can really take into this. Godbro gets grabbed in by Creeper. There's going to be the reinitiate. There's the Stranglethorns coming down. Creeper going to get flash away before he gets knocked up. Yellow Pete does get taken out by Bjergsen in the backside of the fight through the exhaust. Creeper is now going to be the second kill for Bjergsen. He's popped his Zonya, so he's still going. Snoopy finally dies. Svenskeren picks it up with the help of Zyra. Svenskeren will drop down. Olaf has been killed by Froggen on the backside. There's the test picking up the kill onto Creepo. Winner now being chased down by the two remaining members of CLG. Froggen and Wicked do manage to pick off that Zyra, but the true damage is coming. It does hit Froggen. Tess and Bjergsen are still standing. Are they going to go in for this? They're looking very low. Froggen's got a lot of health, of course, but he can... Sorry, hasn't got a lot of health, but he can regen it up. Wicked, on the other hand, has lost. That Crescent Strike's going to miss. The move was going to drag Wacky back in. He's still very squishy, of course. He is full damage build. Does fall to the Tess and Bjergsen as a combo. Froggen well off out the other side. Going to make sure that doesn't happen to him. And it is a one fight for Wolves.
6,000 gold difference. Froggen looks like he's committed to this fight. Is going to get the cripple down. Bjergsen's trying to get away. Sonic Wave, Pale Cascade, Moonfall, the slow. Flash comes up from Froggen as soon as the Test joins the fight. Froggen's now on the run. The Test wants blood, misses the Mystic Shot. That's what he needed to land. And he's immediately going to start backing off. But nevertheless, Bjergsen gets away with his life, and the Wolves have to be very happy with that. At the end of it all, it was a 4-for-3 trade once again. The gold graph, it's slowly climbing. It's now 6,500, 7,000 gold in favor of CLG, but they've shown it. They can get the kills. They can delete people, and in particular, Bjergsen's Diana is incredibly daunting right now. He jumps onto a target and blows them up. We're also starting to hit the point where Froggen is slowly going to start to fall off now. As a champion, Lee Sin, he's still going to offer the damage, but he's going to be able to be focused and killed down if they decide to jump on him.
The best thing I've seen so far from Bjergsen is every time Snoopy turns around to try and feast him, Zonyas goes off. Keeps him safe. He sees that animation coming, Zonyas goes off. So they're trying to burst him down with Snoopy. They're trying to get through him before he can really do too much. But he's there. He's on the ball. If he's getting too close, of course, he's landing that Crescent Strike, Luna rushing away from Snoopy if it's possible. But once he's used those cooldowns, once he can't get away from him just by running, pop in the Zonyas instead, then his team are coming in. Snoopy has now finally fallen. He has picked up another Oracle, though he definitely made up the money for the first one earlier on. And as you said, despite CLG being so far ahead in the gold, Wolves can show that they are still winning and they can still win these fights and pick up the kills. Despite Svenskeren being 1-7, despite Zyra being 2-5, the utility is still there from those two champions. They have just picked up their first dragon, and they're going to start to get a little bit more gold from that, and they're going to make their way back across towards the Baron side of the map, start clearing out the wards, start getting the map control back there, and to start put some pressure onto CLG. They're finally using the fact that they've got those turrets down, using the fact that, hang on, we can win some of these fights now. Let's take the game to CLG. Let's stop letting them control it.
Going to be able to put a lot of damage on this tower. It's dropped down to about 30% of its HP. The rest of CLG coming in, they've got great wave clear, the AoE from Flame Splitter, from Rupture, as well as from all the AoE splash that Corki's putting down. A Corki with a Guardian Angel, so keep an eye on that. GA, Infinity Edge, and Triforce completed. Ezreal on the other side is working towards a Last Whisper first. He wants more damage. See whether or not this bait is going to play off. This is the vision for the Wolves. They can see some of the champions moving in. They know where people are. They're being very, very careful. A ward gets placed in the bushes, so they now know where the Wolves are. And we've just got this Mexican standoff once again. The Wolves have initiated fights that haven't gone well for them, and they've initiated fights that have gone well for them. I wonder which one is going to be next. Only time will tell, but it will be fairly soon. And you have to feel that after the next team fight, somebody's going to go for Baron.
There is a Guardian Angel up on Yellow Pete now, which he didn't have in the last fight, so that's something big to look into. Straight after the back of that last fight, we saw the teams go back, pick up Oracle's Elixir. Bjergsen has since completed a Rabadon's Death Cap. Ezreal has since completed an Infinity Edge. But on the same side, Yellow Pete, Guardian Angel, more of Mount Mortius on Froggen's Lee Sin. There's a couple of big items there on either side, but ultimately the Death Cap and the Infinity Edge is much more damage output than CLG managed to pick up. So CLG's damage isn't going to get much higher. Wolves, on the other hand, is. But Yellow Pete does have a little bit more defense on his side this time with the Guardian Angel, and Bjergsen will not be able to nuke him down in one quick blow like he did before.
I am sitting on the edge of my seat every single time Crepo activates Overdrive and starts moving towards anybody on the Wolves. I auto assume he's about to land a rocket grab, but he's been very hesitant with that. He hasn't wanted to grab somebody unless he knows he's going to hit the target that CLG want to catch. Wolves once again head back into the grass. There goes the rocket grab, expecting Svenskeren to step out, but he did not. Sonic Wave did actually land from Lee Sin, so he had vision on Olaf, but he decided not to chase in on it. Now Crepo once again chasing, places another ward down. Rocket grab's available in 3 seconds. You can see the cooldown on the bottom left of your screen. Let's see whether or not they're going to jump into anybody. I don't like the Wolves coming in from the side of this. It opens them up to a rocket grab, but you really don't want to put yourselves into a position for that. Crepo he's waiting. Both sides really looking to see if they can catch somebody out, looking to see can Svenskeren dive onto anybody with that twisted advance and allow Bjergsen to blow them up with all of the damage Diana has at her disposal. At the moment though, it's just fizzled into nothing as the Test is going to recall and finish that last Whisper. So in terms of damage, in theory, Ezreal's going to be putting out more than his counterpart. However, he does not have that Guardian Angel to stay alive if he does get focused or jumped on.
What we saw in the last 2 fights, he was the last guy alive alongside 1 or 2 other people anyway, so he's doing a good job at staying alive. CLG aren't really touching him, so he doesn't need that defense yet. Yellow Pete, on the other hand, was one of the first to die in the last 2 fights thanks to Diana. He needed that defense, so we'll see how this does shape up and whether Ezreal does just as good a job at staying alive as he has done before, or whether Yellow Pete's going to need that Guardian Angel again. And more to the point, what is Wolves' reaction if he does get popped into Guardian Angel? Are they just going to drop back, let the fight reset, or can they push CLG off of Yellow Pete's corpse and immediately burst him down once he respawns?
We've definitely hit this very, very tense moment in the game. 40 minutes into it. The goal difference is still 5,000. So in actual fact, Wolves have been clawing it back. Those numbers are way less significant now as both teams are reaching the critical mass itemization point. They're starting to reach, very near full builds, 4 or 5 items on some champions in the game. And we'll see whether or not the Wolves can start to win these big fights. CLG feeling a little bit nervous. A few moments ago, we seen Snoopy recalling from the Baron Bush, and at that very, very second, Zyra stepped into range of vision. You got to think, imagine what would have happened if they'd found it. Imagine what would have happened if they knew Snoopy wasn't there and they could commit into a fight 5v4. But this isn't a game of what ifs. It's a game of what is, and what is happening is CLG are still in the advantage, but only barely. Only barely.
Godbro goes back, buys himself a Force of Nature. Olaf was already very tanky, just got a whole lot more. He's going to keep that damage coming. Starting to get some defensive items up onto Wicked now. He's got that Giant's Belt. Got another Negatron Cloak as well to keep everything going forward. As you say, with Froggen, he's starting to fall off a little bit as far as damage is concerned, so he's starting to build tank instead. He's got that Frozen Man, he's got that more of Malmortier, so if they start to focus him down, he's going to get more bonus AD from it. Every one of those Qs, every one of those Sonic Waves is going to start adding in a little bit more damage. The execute damage does percentage health-based damage as well, just like Q, so it's going to start getting stronger and stronger as the lower health he gets. But at the same time, Olaf's very similar in the way that works. The lower health he gets, the more attack speed and lifesteal he gets. So you've got to be very careful if you're trying to focus down that Olaf. And plus, on top of the fact that he's just very straight up tanky in the first place. Yep. Got to do a lot to get through him. You're not going to want to blow Feast on Olaf. I
do just want to remind everybody, this is the hardest that CLG have been pushed thus far at the Dreamhack League of Legends Championships, and this is from a team that came from the BYOC tournament. But you see Froggen gets caught by an undertow, and he's just going to be able to safeguard to safety. And the Copenhagen Wolves are playing extremely, extremely well right now. Rocket grab from Crepo goes out, doesn't manage to catch anybody just there in the middle of your screen. And now all of a sudden we're back at this bush again. The Wolves are putting themselves in a position where maybe they can set something out. The Test is a little bit far away though. He needs to get to the rest of his team. CLG are in very, very quick reactions here. They don't want somebody to start a Baron or sneak a Baron underneath them. The entire time that this is happening, a Dragon has been respawned already. So see the Test once again slightly split. The Wolves are a little bit all over the place. Rupture goes down. It does catch Sven. Godbro's going to decide to chase. Here we go. Ragnarok is on. Here comes a Shredder's Reverie. Taking so much damage. He's going to need to be forced back. The first kill is going to be onto Zyra. That's immediately deleted. Now Svenskeren's immediately dropped as well. Following onto Zyra. Wicked is the first one to fall from CLG. Olaf is going to be the last one. They're going to chase him down. And just not enough damage. The burst was so high. The crit, the burst. And CLG completely decimating that team fight. Crepo trying to find another rocket grab, but CLG deciding Baron buff is going to be more important. They're going to go fall back and pick that one up.
Really confused by that engagement from Godbro. Bjergsen was hovering around one side. He wanted to get onto the back, wanted to get onto Yellow Pete and try and blow him up. But when Godbro ran in, Pete could not have been further away from Bjergsen. Tess was slightly out of position. He was over the wrong side of the wall. Froggen immediately landed straight onto Winner. That Q ran in. He blew up Zyra. It's the only target he can really go through at the moment. The only one he's got the damage to get past. And he decimated it. No one was taking that support, and Zyra didn't get any of the abilities off she wanted to. has given CLG a Baron. I mean, the fights before that were close. Yes, Wolves had a chance at doing something, but it's a close fight. Now, CLG have picked up another near ace, and they picked up a Baron on top of it, and the gold lead has gone up to 7,000. I don't think Wolves can come back from this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. The main thing that was integral about that particular battle is the fact that even though the Wolves initiated it, it was on CLG's terms. CLG said, all right, we'll let you come to us. We'll let you approach us. We'll let you eat the Rupture, eat the Equalizer, and literally just allowed, you know, the Wolves to go into a full frontal assault from CLG. Every single ability that they wanted to land did. Look at the items on Olaf. Force of Nature, Warmogs, Merc Treads, Hearts of Gold, another Ruby Crystal, and he got melted. I mean, his HP just disappeared because he took every single ability and so many auto attacks from Yellow Pete that he simply could not survive. So, you know, they need to catch somebody out of position. I don't think the Wolves can really ever engage just straight up, just running at them like Olaf tried to do, because they simply, it's too difficult to kill that very, very tanky team.
Yeah, they couldn't get past that front line of CLG. We do not have a Guardian Angel up on Bjergsen, so he's going to be a little bit safer as he dives in deep within the CLG squad. We are 200 gold off of GA for the test as well, so they're going to want to try and farm that up a little bit. They wanted to try and get the Dragon, but they just got bullied off of it by CLG. They cannot take a fight for the next 4 minutes at the very least. Even on the other side of those 4 minutes, once this Baron buff does wear out, it's still going to be a tough one, and they're still going to have to try and make something happen, whether it be someone on CLG face-checking into a bush, or whether it be catching them or trapping them or surrounding them or something, but they cannot take another fight where CLG are set up as defensively as they like to be, and they just try and brute force their way in the front door. That's not going to work.
Especially when they had the vision of it as well. You know, there was a ward that had just been placed. Now, the Wolves did not know that. They didn't know that there was a ward in that grass. So, you know, they were sitting in a position where they wanted to put in engagement. Rupture goes down, lands onto Zyra, not going to be able to pick up any kills. Rocket Grab almost catches the test. GA is up and available again, so at the very least he will come back to life if he does get caught out. But the problem is there that you know, they need to make sure they have vision. They need to make sure that the decision that they're about to make really is the right one by ensuring that the bush they're running through is warded, and they know it's not warded by CLG. Nevertheless, Baron buff is on, HP is regenerating, mana is regenerating, and they're going to siege down this tower. Another Rupture from Snoopy just to create a little bit of distance. And CLG pick up another tower. There's a very, very big wave of creeps fighting on this top lane. Now we're going to see whether or not the Wolves decide to defend this tower. It's a little bit of weird. Both teams have decided to swap spawning locations. CLG are now sitting on the bottom head side. They are going to pick it up. They're going to fall back. And two very, very quick towers.
Yep, a little bit of global gold. Why not? You can use that Baron. They can't really poke you. You're going to regen it much. You've got a good comp as well, that if they try and come in and poke it, you're just going to engage on them and start that fight. And with the tanky line that the CLG had, Snoopy would be engaged, he'd take the turret, and then he'd happily just sit there and take the turret damage for quite a while. So the Wolves do not want to start to fight that. And as I said, they have that Baron buff too, so they need to wait for this to wear off before they can really even try and fight CLG again. Now less than a minute, down to about 30-40 seconds before that Baron buff will be completely gone. Then the Wolves can think about taking another fight. They are playing very defensive, but as soon as that's gone, they can start to push back into CLG's side of the map. They've got a good poke team. They've got that undertow from Olaf. They've got a good long-range snare from Zyra. They've got the Mystic Shots, of course, coming out from Ezreal, and the Crescent Strikes coming out from Zyra. It's not even Zyra. It's Diana.
Diana. Close enough.
Coming out from Diana. So they can do a little bit of damage to CLG at range, but only, again, once this Baron buff is gone. Otherwise, they're just going to regen it all back up while turtling on a fountain step.
Yeah, the problem is now that we're back at CLG's pace. For, you know, 10 or 15 minutes, the Wolves were setting the tone. The Wolves were making the plays, and yeah, it was costing them a little bit here or there. It was on their terms. Now that we're back on CLG's terms, the whole pace of the game has slowed down. They have determined when the engagements will happen. They will push a team and say, all right, look, we'll, you know, remove all this vision. We'll force ourselves into this location and, you know, not necessarily consciously bait Ragnarok from Olaf and diving in, but just say, look, we've stalled it for long enough. We're going to make the team uncomfortable, make them a bit nervous about what's going on, and it forces them into making a poor decision. CLG have placed so many teams, so many compositions in so many countries and continents that they know how to force a decision, and they know when they want to play. They don't mind playing an hour and a half or a 2-hour game because they know that they're going to win at the end of it.
Yeah, it's very hard to get a CLG to make a mistake. They just sit here, they'll wait for their 50 minutes, they'll let you screw up, they'll sit there and they'll play these team fights perfectly. This is their element, this is exactly how they want it to be. So it's all on Wolves right now. CLG will wait here, as you say, for another 2 hours if that's what it takes. This is still the first game in a best-of-3 semi-final. So we still have the grand final where they're going to be up against the winners of this are going to be up against Fnatic yet to come. But Creeper is going to face tank this bottom turret. Yellow Peak going to start doing as much damage to it as he can. This is an inhibitor turret. He's going to take it down to about half health, but the Wolves are up onto the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. Bjergsen going to start the recall. Bottom inhib will fall down to CLG before the recalls are complete. We do now have the Wolves back in here, and it's just going to be an inhib and a back out from CLG. Diana still pushing. No, she's cancelled and recalling in the last second, but with one dead inhib and the bottom inhib, a little bit of a stat for you. Teams that lose the bottom inhibitor lose 70% of their games. So this has just got a whole lot harder for the Wolves.
Yep, that is so true. Take a look at the chat really quickly. Tell me when the last Baron was taken. It should be coming up relatively soon as far as time is concerned. 42:09 is when it went down. So within the next 2 or so minutes.
1 minute and 7
there we go.
seconds.
We will be seeing it up very, very shortly. And that's probably going to be the next point of contestation, the next combat point for the Wolves, and they're going to need to pick it up. They're going to need to either steal that away or secure it for themselves. Otherwise, it really is tickets in game number 1 of this best of 3. They've put on a fantastic performance so far, but 1 or 2 small mistakes, 1 or 2 engagement errors is costing them this 10,000 gold lead and their bottom lane inhibitor as well.
It's going to be their last stand. Either CLG are going to just dance around it, let the bottom lane push in, let the bottom lane destroy the Wolves' base. Wolves are going to have to send someone back to do it. CLG will take the Baron because they can't fight 5v4. Or they're going to go straight in for that Baron fight. They either win it, they get the Baron, they defend, they stay in this game, and they're good. Or they go in, they try and fight, they lose, they don't even need to take the Baron, and CLG will go and finish off the rest of their base. Those are the 2 scenarios we've got. This bottom lane inhibitor is going to decide so much here, and the way these creeps are handled too. That we do see Creeper heading around into the Wraith camp. Does drop a ward over the wall, fires a grab out blind. He doesn't actually hit anyone because he saw that ward coming. Winner will clean that ward up. You do see Bjergsen backing away from Pete and Wicked in that mid lane. Now heading off around one side. Creeper does take a crescent strike there just for the vision though.
Does a good chunk of damage as well.
It does do a good chunk of damage. You see more members of CLG in the Wraith camp in that top side of the Wolves jungle.
The Tess has now joined the team. This is now a full 5 versus 5. Svenko walks over a ward. Oracles is only coming in shortly. Rupture goes down. Feral Scream. That silence is now out. A couple of seconds where Cho'Gath is not going to be able to land it. Nico Bro is in the background. He's taking a tiny bit of damage. You can see the HP ticking. Plus 21, plus 21. Undertow lands on the Crepo. He gets the Rocket Crab. True Shot Barrage comes out. Look at all the ultimates on the ground. A million people knocked up into the air. Snoopy is forced incredibly low. He's out of the fight. Wolves are on the chase. But now that the equalizer's down, look at the amount of damage. Yellow Peak gets the first kill of the fight. That's onto Maokai. In the background, that's a double kill for him. He's now going to turn his attention over to Bjergsen, who's about to respawn. Zyra's got 1 onto Blitzcrank. Yellow Peak, his Guardian Angel has been procced. Now the Tess is back up. Wicked picks up the 3rd kill of the fight. Look at Frog, and he's chasing. Can he get the Sonic Wave? He does land. Follows it up with the Resonating Strike. Double kill for Wicked. Flame Splits is the thing that picks up the damage. Nigo Bro is running away. Froggen is thinking about this fight. He's about to get cut off. Yellow Peak Gatling Cannon is ticking away. He's going to challenge Nigo Bro. Look at that huge crit. Chunking 732 damage. CLG pick up the ace. What an amazing team fight with the Death Timers and Super Creeps in the middle. This is CLG pushing in for the win. And what an amazing team fight to close out the game.
That started out so well for Wolves. They were in a very open position. They took CLG very low, but they went into that banana roof. They grouped up. CLG dominated. And as a result, they've taken game number 1 in our best of 3 semi-final.
GG! How long before the next game?